camp is camp. It's tough, but it's for me to want to push myself. This is what I do, this is what I live for. I'm ready for battle. I feel like I'm getting stronger, and I feel by the time the fight comes, I'll be at peak performance.
So being out here in the States, I can really see a change in Josh. Like, his mindset is one thing that, you know, being out here, it's like so tunnel vision. It's like every single day is geared towards something in camp. So everyone back home will be like, oh, so what did you do on Thursday? You had the day off? And it's like, it's a day off, but it's a day off to get ready for the day on.
Damn. Fucking hell. Fuck. So there we have it. Back on my feet. I got through the pain of the blister. Back to work. 100 miles in. The ultimate goal, yeah, is to walk out that night of the fight and know you put in 100%. You put in 100% every minute of the day, or every other minute of the day, because no one's perfect. Every other minute of the day, you try to give your all to your craft.
And you're gonna go boxing? And the toughest guy you before was 40 years old, Anderson Silva? That was the toughest guy so far you've lost to Tommy Fury, who's a very good boxer, but this is a giant Olympic gold medalist heavyweight. I mean, Anthony Joshua is fucking
He is
terrifying.
the thing that nightmares are made of.
And he's got that one-punch nuclear power. One punch. And he's fast.
Anthony Joshua grinding away for a Jake Paul showdown has turned a bizarre headline into the matchup everyone suddenly has an opinion on.
Badly hurt because it's a shot to nothing, isn't it?
Well, I tell you what, Frank, one fight we know next month that is for money, as opposed to boxing, and boxing merit, is Anthony Joshua against Jake Paul. How much are the boundaries of safety, Frank, being pushed for entertainment purposes here?
No, look, obviously we are in a dangerous sport. We have to accept that. And obviously the people looking after Jake Paul, if I was managing or promoting Jake Paul, would I say this is the right move for Jake Paul? Probably not, being completely honest with you. But he's put himself in a position, you know, was Jake Paul Mike Tyson a sensible thing to do? To, you know, a 58-year-old man or 60, I'm not sure what Mike is, but was that sensible? Probably not, and I would have said that at the time, but it's the world we live in now. And the reality is, a lot of people are going to watch it, but we also at the same time have to make the sport as safe as possible and put everything in place around it to, you know, to ensure that. And that's what the commission, the Florida State Athletic Commission, will be doing.
What looked like a circus fight at first is now pulling real attention, with analysts breaking it down, fighters throwing in their takes, and fans wondering just how wild this thing could get if it actually happens.
Yeah, look, it is risky. I think Jake Paul's crazy. I think he's delusional. But respect to him for doing it, and he's getting a load of money.
Oh, Jesus. That's a fucking bad idea. That's a bad idea. But let me tell you what. A lot of people will watch that one.
Will you watch it?
Sure. You know what everybody's tuning in for on that one. I think everybody's going to get what they've finally been waiting for.
Joe Rogan spelled it out. Joshua isn't cutting weight in a way that slows him down. He'll just up the cardio, come in sharper, and be even more dangerous. Rogan says AJ will be fired up too, annoyed that a YouTuber thinks he belongs in the same ring as him. And when he looks at Jake's resume, Rogan's not convinced. Outside of Tommy Fury and a couple legit boxers, the rest were wrestlers, aging MMA legends, or guys from other sports. Even dropping Anderson Silva came against a man deep into his 40s. To Rogan, jumping from that to Anthony Joshua, who is absolutely lethal, is borderline reckless.
Paul and Joshua?
I was gonna say, they got him to weigh a grade of 245. It's only like 7 pounds less than.
Yeah, that's nothing.
Yeah,
and there's some sort of a rehydration clause. Listen, kids, it ain't gonna matter. You know, there's not a chance that Anthony Joshua is not going to just lose the weight beforehand. He's not going to come in drained. What he's going to do is just do extra cardio, and that's just going to make him more dangerous. He's going to be terrifying, and he's going to have a lot to prove. He's going to be very angry that Jake Paul wants to fight him. Very upset that this YouTuber who's fought Tommy Fury, who's a legit boxer, and a couple other guys that were legit boxers. That's it. Like everyone else he's fought Ben Askren, who's really a wrestler. He fought Tyron Woodley, who was an elite MMA fighter, but not an elite boxer. He fought Nate Robinson, who was a basketball player. At least he's fought these guys. He fought Anderson Silva, and he dropped Anderson Silva. And Anderson Silva's a really good striker, but also in his 40s. Different time. It's not the same guy he used to be. This is a 34-year-old Anthony Joshua. This is a terrifying human being. Terrifying.
Joe Rogan kept stressing the size and skill gap. Jake Paul at 6'1" and around 200 pounds isn't walking in against just a big man. He's facing a 6'6", 250-plus Anthony Joshua who actually knows how to weaponize that reach. Rogan said AJ's jab would be glued to Jake's face, and if the right hand connects, it's lights out. And unlike the chaos Usyk brings, the feints, footwork, and non-stop pressure, which Jake can't recreate. Rogan reminded everyone Joshua handled that storm twice against one of the most skilled heavyweights ever, which makes this matchup look even more absurd.
Jake Paul's 6'1" versus 6'6" Anthony Joshua. Jake weighed in for the Tyson fight at 199. Joshua against Ngannou was 252.
6'6", not just 6'6", but 6'6", and knows how to use every fucking inch of it. Knows how to keep that stick in your face. He was keep that jab in his face, and that right hand, if it hits you, you're fucked. And he's not worried about you the way he's worried about Usyk. You can't move like Usyk. You can't constantly be frustrating and overloading his nervous system. Usyk is overloading every aspect of your senses at every moment. He's constantly moving, and then punches are coming, and he loops punches around your guard, and he's constantly shifting his feet, and you think he's going to be there, and he's over here, and it's like this overload of thinking. It's not a casual, relaxed fight where you can kind of move around and get your groove and he's going to stay on the outside and you're going to... No, it's just constant. He survived that guy twice. He survived, in my opinion, the most skillful heavyweight of all time. Twice.
However, Eddie Hearn brushed off the doomsday talk, saying that if in some wild twist Joshua ever woke up the day after with a loss to Jake Paul, it would simply be the harsh reality of sport. Bad nights happen, but he didn't sugarcoat it either. It would be a nightmare result. As for legacy, Hearn insisted that one freak defeat doesn't rewrite a career, though how fans interpret it is another story entirely. His message was clear: don't let it get anywhere near that point. Go in, take care of business, and shut the door on the upset before it even breathes.
And on the what ifs, what if we wake up on the night after and Anthony Joshua is somehow on the end of a defeat? What does that mean for him?
Sport, innit? Tough luck. Got beat. Disaster. Absolute. I mean, when you talk about legacy, people say, "Oh, does this affect his legacy?" Not at all. If you get beat, does it affect your legacy? That's another question altogether. So yeah, we've got to make sure it doesn't happen and go in there and just serve him up.
While Hearn focused on keeping Joshua's legacy intact, MMA Guru looked at it from Jake Paul's angle. He admitted it's hard to see Jake actually pulling off a win. Even guys like Dubois, with serious Olympic-level pedigrees, are bigger and more experienced. But this is classic Jake territory. Even in a loss, he could snag a highlight punch, survive a round, and walk away, calling it a moral victory. Guru said Jake will be delusional enough to think he can win, but with a massive payday waiting, even falling short won't faze him too much.
Is there a possibility to give it a 2? If Jake won, could you believe that it wasn't rigged? No. I can't see Jake winning. To be fair, Dubois beat AJ, but Dubois is like a former Olympian failure, but still, Thank you for the 2. He's got all that background and he's massive. So I'd be surprised if Jake wins. But I think yes or no, chat, this is a kind of Jake Paul thing where it's like, maybe at the end of the day, he'll just get respect for even if he loses, but makes a competitive round out of it or some shit. Or if he lands a good shot that he can get a highlight of. I think Jake is going to be delusional enough to think that he can win, but he will have oh, this is fine even if I lose mindset going into things, Oh, and he's probably getting paid a shit ton of money.
Whereas Frank Smith brought a more cautious perspective, pointing out just how far the entertainment side is pushing the limits of safety. He admitted boxing is inherently risky, but questioned whether some of Jake Paul's choices make sense, like stepping in with Mike Tyson, even at nearly 60. Smith said if he were managing Jake, he probably wouldn't have greenlit it. Still, he acknowledged the reality. People will tune in no matter what. The key, he stressed, is making sure the sport stays as safe as possible, with regulators and promoters doing everything to protect the fighters while delivering the spectacle.
Fight we know next month that is for money, as opposed to boxing, and boxing merit, is Anthony Joshua against Jake Paul. How much are the boundaries of safety, Frank, being pushed for entertainment purposes here?
No, look, obviously we are in a dangerous sport. We have to accept that, and obviously the people looking after Jake Paul. If I was managing or promoting Jake Paul, would I say this is the right move for Jake Paul? Probably not. Being completely honest with you, but he's put himself in a position. You know, was Jake Paul Mike Tyson a sensible thing to do? To a 58-year-old man or 60, I'm not sure what Mike is, but was that sensible? Probably not, and I would have said that at the time. But it's the world we live in now, and the reality is a lot of people are going to watch it, but we also at the same time have to make the sport as safe as possible and put everything in place around it to ensure that, and that's what the commission, the Florida State Athletic Commission, will be doing.
While Frank Smith focused on the safety and risks of this matchup, Teddy Atlas took a step back to give Jake Paul his due. Atlas emphasized how Jake built himself from the ground up, turning a bold idea into reality, taking calculated risks and putting himself in a position to make this fight happen. He admitted Jake lacks the amateur pedigree to ever be considered elite, but noted the improvement, dedication, and respect he's shown for the sport. In Atlas's eyes, Paul may not be a top-tier boxer yet, but his strategy, work ethic, and ability to command the spotlight have earned him a seat at the table against Anthony Joshua.
But can Jake Paul really beat Anthony Joshua?
All right, listen, I give all credit. Everyone knows that. They get mad at me that I give too much credit to Paul. Why? He's done a hell of a job to put himself in this position. He sold himself. He sold his dream. He took his dream. He took his idea, and he put it out there, and he made it happen. Give him credit for that. And he made it happen. And he took risk along the way. Yeah, he picked his spots. He's in the driver's seat. He gets to pick his spots. He's the one bringing the money. He's the one promoting. Yeah, he's the name. He made himself that, coming from where he came from, with all his followers and the whole thing, and just the uniqueness of what he was doing. But he has learned along the way. He's not a top guy yet. No, I don't know that he ever will be. He didn't have that amateur background and the things that you usually need to be a top guy. But he has improved. He is a work in progress. He is a guy that you got to give him credit that he's respected the sport. He went out there, he's worked hard at it, and he's gotten himself into this.
Following Teddy Atlas's praise for Jake's rise, Tony Jeffries offered a dose of reality. He respected Paul's ambition and the way he's built his career, but warned the gap to Joshua is enormous. Sure, in theory, Jake can hit hard, and anything can happen in a heavyweight fight, but Joshua is a seasoned, powerful, and highly skilled pro who can end a fight in an instant. Jeffries admired Jake's drive and confidence, yet he made it clear, this matchup is way beyond his current level. He's stepped into territory he may not be ready for.
And how? Well, if I said to you, Jake Paul is going to win this fight by knockout, you would think I'm absolutely crazy, right? But the thing is, it can happen. 10-ounce gloves, heavyweight, Jake Paul can punch hard. But do I think that's going to happen? Absolutely not, mate. Anthony Joshua is an absolute beast, an unbelievable, highly skilled, highly trained, highly experienced professional boxer with power in both hands, and he's really good at finishing people off. And even though I really take my hat off for Jake Paul for taking this fight, I didn't really want to take it because of what's going to happen in the result of this fight, and I want to keep on this Jake Paul train. I think he's doing great, and I love his ambition. I love that he's trying to become a world champion and following his dreams and believing in himself. But at a certain point, you bite off more than you can chew, and this right here, he's bit off way more than he can chew. I think Anthony Joshua.
However, on Logan Paul's vlog, Daniel Cormier was blunt about a potential Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua matchup. He called the idea risky, even bordering on wild, but admitted it also demands respect. DC explained that stepping into a fight like this with no special rules or limitations takes serious guts, and that alone earns Jake credit. He emphasized that regardless of the outcome, having the audacity to challenge a fighter of Joshua's caliber is noteworthy and shows a level of boldness few would dare to attempt.
In the UFC, I gotta ask him what he thinks about my brother fighting Anthony Joshua. Dude, it's real. It's fun. It's real.
There's got to be some rules in place for Anthony not to.
Dude, I don't think there's rules.
Come on.
I swear to God.
I keep telling people this, right? And this is where people fucking up, especially these MMA dudes. I keep saying, stop treating Jake like he's not a boxer.
Yeah.
It's been 5 years now of pure boxing with great.
Dominic Ingle added his perspective, stressing that Joshua doesn't need to mimic Usyk or follow anyone else's playbook. Ingle believes AJ's focus should be on maximizing what already makes him a threat, tightening the areas where he's slipped, and trusting his own strengths instead of hunting for some outside magic formula. He noted that McCracken had a deep, built from the ground up understanding of Joshua that no new trainer can instantly replicate, and sometimes switching corners is more about the paycheck than the perfect fit. Ingle's bottom line, Joshua already has everything he needs to be at his best, he just has to reconnect with it. On the other hand, Sean O'Malley didn't sugarcoat the magnitude of this potential fight. Speaking as a friend of Jake's, he admitted he's genuinely worried. Taking a knockout from a heavyweight like Joshua isn't just a hit to the record, it's a serious risk to your health and long-term well-being. O'Malley called it absolutely crazy that Jake would step into the ring, highlighting just how extreme the stakes are in a matchup like this. And Rampage Jackson didn't hesitate when giving his take, picking Anthony Joshua as the clear winner. He predicted that AJ would control the fight and likely score a knockout by the 3rd round. In Rampage's eyes, Joshua's combination of skill, power, and experience makes him the overwhelming favorite to finish the bout decisively and early. Moreover, Michael Bisping weighed in, saying the matchup almost feels like a no-win for Joshua. If AJ takes the win, critics will downplay it, claiming he only beat Jake Paul, the same guy who couldn't get past Tommy Fury. If he were to lose, it would go down as one of boxing's biggest shocks. Still, Bisping doesn't see that happening. He highlighted how Joshua dismantled Francis Ngannou, a former UFC champ with monstrous power, showing that every punch had a massive impact. Against that backdrop, Bisping believes the idea of a smaller, far less experienced Jake Paul threatening AJ isn't just unlikely, it's virtually unimaginable. So now it's over to you. Who do you think will come out on top if Jake Paul actually steps into the ring with Anthony Joshua? Will AJ's power and experience prove too much, or could Jake pull off a shocking upset? We want to hear your takes, predictions, and hot takes, so drop them in the comments below. And while you're at it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the latest fight news, breakdowns, and expert reactions. This is one matchup you'll want to follow every step of the way.